Welcome to another episode of Total Football Talk. If I go dark, I'm sorry. It's because of the lighting. For some reason, doesn't want to cooperate. I may try to open up some more blinds, but I'm in a different spot in my house, and it's by necessity. If you see me drinking, I'm drinking Slim Fast, trying to lose weight. This worked for me once before, so I'm going to try it again. Shameless plug. I don't care. I'm not being sponsored by them, but I am drinking them. So, my goal is to lose 25 pounds by October of next year. So we'll see how that works.
Actually, Anthony, everybody.
Yeah, I'm Anthony, by the way. Yeah, actually, I want to get down to 225 by October. So I'm trying a new workout and all other kind of stuff. Anyway, enough about me. I'm Anthony.
I'm Eric.
And we have the final week of the regular season to cover. And
we're all losing weight.
Yeah, we are. We need to. We're going to figure out how this season shapes out here pretty quick. This is the final weekend, so we'll know exactly where everything stands. I have a theory that the may explain some things here. So, Eric, listen, I want to start with Chicago because the Rams and Bears, fittingly this season, are linked together in the final week of the regular season. And we've been doing this show now for not just Total Football Talk, but LA Rams Central for what, 2 years? And
roughly, yeah.
And this is the third year, and it's kind of funny that in what looks to be the most promising season for the Rams in some time, they're tied at the hip with those annoying Chicago Bears. So,
well, not a team to fret about either. That's it's pretty much it's a compliment to be tied with Chicago Bears, I think.
Well, I mean, it's a situation.
I mean, we both have had our share of crap coaches, Jeff Fisher, and then just pick any name out of the hat for the Bears, not named Lovey, Papa Bear, or Ditka.
Yeah. So, the Rams have definitely had a great history of coaching. I mean, you can go Chuck Knox, George Allen, Don Sidador. In the 40s and 50s, he's the one, or in the 50s, he's the one that won the championship. John Robinson, I thought, was a great coach. I thought Ray Malavasi did a pretty decent job considering the team that he had. So the Rams have had some good coaches, but yeah, they've definitely had some doozies. Listen, E, I want you to start with Chicago. I know it's the afternoon game, but I don't care. It's such a big game for both teams. I want you to kind of break down how you think this is going to go down and who you think is going to win.
Well, I definitely think it's a bigger game for the Vikings than anything else, only because they're fighting for the playoff lives. Mum's the word out of Chicago, and we don't know exactly what the Bears are going to do. We already do know, however, that Eddie Jackson, Aaron Lynch, and Allen Robinson will not be suiting up for the Bears against the Vikings. Robinson's dealing with a little bit of a rib injury. Eddie Jackson's still got the ankle issue, which I think if it were the playoffs this week, he would play. And I think if the Bears needed to win to get in, he would play. But I think the Bears are doing exactly what they should be doing, just like the Rams are doing with Todd Gurley, and we'll get into Gurley here in a little bit as well. But anybody who's really more than nicked up, I should say, probably isn't going to play. So it leads me to believe that the Bears may go very vanilla on offense because they don't have their number one wide receiver in Allen Robinson. And I think that really actually hurts the Bears because Minnesota is actually a lot better of a team than they faced when they didn't have Robinson before, when they played the Jets and the Bills. So, with that being said, I think you're going to get a lot of ground and pound out of Jordan Howard, and you're also going to get a lot of Trey Burton. But I think what the Bears are going to do, they're going to look to put some game film together for the Vikings to typically use for next week. As you can tell, that's how I'm actually leaning in this game, that the Bears are going to lose to the Vikings, where I think the Bears should go all out and win against the Vikings, and make the Eagles actually play to win their game. Because if you go out and try to win without your number one wide receiver, which they've done in the past this season, and lose, they got a lot of game film coming against the Vikings team coming to Chicago, who feel quite confident that they can come in and beat the Bears. But obviously, we're talking about Week 17. So what I'm saying is that the Bears, one interesting stat is, or two interesting stats on the Bears. One, they have held at least a second half lead in every game this season. They're the only team to do so. And they haven't lost a game by double digits either. The highest scoring loss that they've had was 7, and that was against the Patriots, 38-31. But I think you're going to see both break this Week 17, which I don't put too much stock in Week 17 unless you're really fighting for the playoffs. I say the Bears lose 28-20 in Minnesota. I actually think it's closer in the first half, but Minnesota pulls away. And I think the Vikings are coming to Chicago next weekend for playoffs. As far as the other side of the ball with Minnesota, they're going to try to get Dalvin Cook going. But I also think that you're going to see quite a bit of Cousins to Thielen and Diggs. I think the game gets out of hand in the third quarter, where the Vikings may put up half their points that I've allotted to them and take over the game. They might even be trailing at halftime. But I think Cousins brings them back, and that might be his greatest mistake, because if he brings them back and the Vikings come to Chicago, that's where it ends for them.
Well, I will tell you, Eric, I worry about this game because I know what the Bears did to Green Bay a few years ago.
Yeah, I understand the Green Bay scenario, but to me that was a little different only because the Bears already had a number 1 or 2 seed locked up. And I know the Bears are going, they can literally get the number 2 seed. But I just think that, after maybe a quarter or even a half, the Bears defense, a lot of their key Bears defensive starters come out of the game, and that's it. I think that's how I see this game going. If Matt Nagy does anything different, I'll be actually surprised.
Well, okay,
we'll
so
see. There's not a lot of work coming out what he's going to do. I just know the 3 guys that are out and what it actually means, especially with Robinson being out. Because with Robinson being out, it gives the Bears are very coverable in terms of Gabriel, Miller, Trey Burton, and then the run game. All they really have to do is count on stopping Tariq Cohen and Jordan Howard, which the Vikings defense can. They only give up 75 yards on the ground at home, so they can put that down there. But what I
was saying is, what worries me is if you let the Vikings creep back in, then you give them an influx of momentum, and you give them a puncher's chance in your place next week.
Everybody's got a puncher's chance every playoff.
No, but Eric, let me finish a thought here. The difference is this, though. You've got essentially a playoff rookie quarterback against a seasoned veteran quarterback who struggles in the postseason. It's going to make that playoff game extremely interesting. You bring in somebody like Philly, and the Eagles all of a sudden get all of this credibility and all of this attention, and I think they're easily the weakest of any of the teams in the postseason that would have made it. I think the Bears...
But they have a pretty darn good aerial attack with one heck of a tight end running down the middle.
Well, yes, they do. And
plus, don't forget the revenge factor. If Alshon Jeffrey comes to Chicago, that Foles will hook up with Jeffrey at least 8 to 10 times.
Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves. All I'm saying is you're talking about the absence of your wide receiver being the biggest issue. The absence of Jackson on defense is the biggest issue for me.
Well, yes, it's the biggest issue, but it's not a playoff game.
No.
If it were a playoff game, he'd be playing.
Understood. But that's why I'm picking the Vikings. Because without that guy in the center of the field, playing center field, you know that there's going to be some open slants and some open deep routes. We saw that. That's been, I don't want to say a weakness for the Bears, but when the Bears have been beaten in the aerial game, it's been over the middle where the safety's supposed to be. So I agree with your pick here. I think the Vikings are look, they're going to throw everything they've got. And the nice thing for the Bears is they're going to get all of the Vikings' best stuff on film going into the playoffs. And the Vikings are going to get none of the good stuff for the Bears. If I'm the Minnesota coaching staff, I'm not even looking at this game film next week if we win and end up playing you in Chicago. I'm looking back at the game the last time we were in Chicago because that was your best punch.
But that game in Chicago earlier in the season won't go the same way as a playoff game would.
No,
because the Bears will establish the run in the game, and then once they do, they'll just throw it over the top.
Well, I think,
and I think, and Trubisky isn't coming off of an injury. Trubisky isn't being coddled like we've seen other Bears quarterbacks. He's only let loose. And yeah, he might have an overthrow, or he might have a turnover. But I'm sorry, I'll take the Bears defense sacking Kirk Cousins and having him turn the ball over in inopportune times any day of the week.
Well, don't forget the Vikings defense has really turned it on the last few weeks, which is another benefit in this game.
But they're a lot better at home than they are on the road.
Which is another reason why I'm picking the Vikings to win this game. I think the Vikings being at home, having the crowd noise in their favor. I think the defense is going to get to Trubisky, and I won't be surprised if the Bears pull Trubisky at halftime saying, you know what, it ain't worth getting him killed in Chicago right now. I mean in Minnesota right now. We need him next week, which I think is
we'll see. We'll see how.
Not that Chase Daniels is a bad option, right? He's won some games. He knows the system. It's not going to hurt you per se. And it's going to depend, and that's why I think the second half is really where this thing is going to turn. I think Chicago's going to see the Rams score at halftime and go, they've got it locked up. We're not going to worry about getting our star quarterback hurt. We're going to go ahead and we're going to play this thing a little bit differently. They're going to bring in Chase Daniels. They're going to focus more on the running game. I think the Vikings are going to open up the aerial attack, and because of that, I think Minnesota is going to win this game 31-20. And I think at halftime, it may very well be at halftime. It may very well be, a 17-14, 17-17 ball game. But I think, that's where Minnesota pulls away in the second half.
Well, listen, I don't want to upset any of the rambling that's out there listening, but that's all I've heard all week is, they're going to look at the Rams 49ers score at halftime and be like, it's just not even worth the Bears playing. What if the 49ers are winning that game? Nobody has gone on to say what if the 49ers were. Everybody is saying,
okay,
the Rams will be up. I'll tell you this much: if Week 17 is anything like last year to this year, and the Rams decide to sit anybody, it's not going to be the same result as everybody's thinking it's going to be.
Well,
okay, so if the 49ers are leading 21-17 at halftime because Nick Mullins decides to play out of his freaking mind. And I know the team's in LA, I get it. And they play different when they're on the road than when they're at home. The San Francisco is not a bad home team, although their record, they're 4-11. But, if it's close for the 49ers, and you see it's close, don't you still have to say, hey, you know what, let's not give this game away?
Well, Eric, that's the obvious. Okay, the obvious is if the Rams are losing or it's tied, then the Bears are going to go balls to the wall and get the 2 seed. They'd be stupid if they tried anything else. That's not the point here, though. The point is, look, if the Rams are losing or tied with San Francisco at halftime of Week 17 in a game of this significance for the team, then I'm telling you right now the Rams aren't even winning a wild card game because that's where they're going to end up. If they lose to San Francisco or if it's close, they're one and done. I don't give a crap if the 1986 Colts, who went 0-13 and then 3-13 played them, or ended up winning 3 games to end the year to go 3-13. I don't care if that team comes into LA in the playoffs, the Rams aren't going to win. So, I don't even want to entertain that because that's an obvious solution. I mean, that's like saying no one in their right mind is going to say that the Bears are going to turn around and rest their starters if the Rams are losing or tied at halftime and they have an opportunity to 2 seed. But the way the Ram game, I think, is going to go is going to be pretty similar to the Cardinal game. Not that I think C.J. Anderson's going to run all over them, but the 49ers secondary is atrocious this year, and I think the Rams are going to gut them apart in that category. And they're going to hit their players in their slants and their hits, and Aaron Donald's going to break the record. We're going to get to the Ram game in a minute, but I think this thing is going to be relatively not over by halftime, but the Rams are going to have a lead, a comfortable lead. I'm thinking 2 touchdowns to 10 points. 10 to 14-point lead, somewhere in between there, somewhere around there, I think is where the Rams are probably going to be Sunday at halftime. If it's anything closer than that, then the Rams got more problems than a math book. Okay? Let's just call it the way it is. Agreed?
Yep.
Okay. So, I just think that if it goes the way I think it's going to go, and that's what this is, we're predicting the way we think things are going to go, so the Ram game and the Bear game are tied together. So I think the Rams have a big lead. We're going to get to the Rams in a minute, which I think is where the Bears are going to go, okay, we're going to ease up a little bit here. Because it's not baseball. You can always bring your guys back in. You know, just because you decide to sit a guy for the third quarter doesn't mean you sit him for the fourth quarter. If somebody buzzes your ear and says, hey, the 49ers just took the lead and it's the start of the fourth quarter, you're going to put your guys back in and try to win the game. Unless they're wearing street clothes, you have that option. This is not Major League Baseball. All right, let's get to the Ram game.
What's your final score prediction?
31-17 Vikings. Or 31-20 Vikings. Wow. 31-20 Vikings. I think the Bears are going to have a lead, or they're going to be tied at halftime. And then I think let me rephrase that. I think it's going to be 31-20 because I think Trubisky's going to get hit quite a bit in the first half, and the Bears are going to be like, no, Chase, take over. And I think Chase is probably good for 3 to 7 points. So I could see it being 31-24. I could seeing it being 31-20 because I think Chase is good enough to score something in the second half. I just don't know how much. What I'm saying is I think the Bears have 17 at halftime.
I think they do everything they can to keep Trubisky upright because the last thing they could afford is another injury. So that's why I think there's going to be a lot of handoffs. But
well, the Bears' running game doesn't scare you. The Bears' running game doesn't scare you. If the Bears are handing the ball off, you know, that hasn't bared fruit all year long.
It's what they did in the last game against Minnesota, and they couldn't stop the run. So, I mean, carpet, grass, outdoor, indoor, you know, stopping the run is stopping the run. If you can't stop the run, you have no business being out there.
I agree, but the Vikings' defense is also a lot better this go-around than they were last time. At least their play has been. So, all right. I want to get to the Ram game. And like I said, Eric, anywhere between 31-24 and 31-20. I think it's going to be in that range. I just think the Vikings are going to be playing their rear ends off. Now, again, this is all null and void. The Bears could easily win this thing 34-zip, and that's the end of it. But I digress. San Francisco at L.A. This game, look, to me, it's the Rams have got... I don't normally put... Oh, God, what is with the screen being so dark? Sorry, guys. Look, you're not going to see my face. That's all there is to it, because this is the only place I can sit. But
don't worry, guys. You're not... Wait, hold on.
Yeah, you're not missing much. Trust me. I got a face for radio anyway. But, you know, for me, this is... I don't normally put a lot of emphasis on blowing a team out, especially a division rival. Especially the division rival that you have. The Rams and 49ers like each other about as much as the Hatfields and McCoys. So I don't anticipate this being, you know, a 48. I mean, it would be nice if it was 48-0, but I don't anticipate it being that kind of game. But the Rams do need to double up San Francisco. They need to prove to San Francisco that without Garoppolo, who they had in the last, you know, in the meeting last year in Week 17. And for the record, Eric, the Rams are actually a better road team than they are a home team overall. This year, obviously, has been a little bit different. They've had, 3 losses on the road and 1 at home. So...
well, you got 3 losses overall.
Oh, no, 2 losses on the road, 1 at home. So
yeah, New Orleans, Chicago, and then home against Philly. I mean, pick your poison if you want to face those guys in the playoffs. Any of them.
Well, again, I don't. Todd Gurley was injured in that Eagles game, so we didn't utilize him nearly as much. Akeem Talib wasn't. You know, the Rams against New Orleans, Akeem Talib wasn't there, so I'm not really worried about that. And if we have to go to Chicago to play the Bears, if the Rams don't decide to run Todd Gurley, regardless of how many yards he has in the first quarter, knowing that their defense can hold that Bears offense down, then they deserve to lose. I'll just put it that way. But again, I don't want to get into the playoffs right now. The way I see this game breaking down is I do think C.J. Anderson will probably have over 100 yards rushing because I think it's a point of pride right now for the Rams offensive line, and they know that the game is dictated through their ability to get big runs early. But to me, it's really I'm looking at McVay carefully in this game. Is Sean McVay able to run the ball consistently, even when he's stopped? Is he willing to punt the football? Is he willing to trust his defense? Because there's no one on that 49er offense that's going to scare you. And I think, the Rams beat the Cardinals 31-9 in Arizona last week. And the way I see this game breaking down is I think C.J. Anderson has a pretty good day. I think Jared Goff continues to get right. I think Aaron Donald breaks the record. I think he gets 4 sacks in this game again. He had 4 against them last time. He may get 5, depending on if the 49ers at the end of the game decide to throw the ball to try to, score some more points. It may just be that San Francisco decides they're handing the ball off in the entire fourth quarter. And the Rams, he gets 3.5, 4 sacks, and that's a ball game. I'd like to see him get 4 because you can always do a stat correction and take a half a sack away. And I really hope that he gets 4 because if it would really tick me off if he got 3.5 and then they took a half a sack away and he ended up tying the record. The bottom line is the way I think this game is going to break down is I think the Rams are going to have pretty good control early. I think Marcus Peters gets a pick. I think Akeem Talib, if he sees the football, if he doesn't get a pick, he's going to get quite a few deflections. I think the Rams are going to shut down the run. I think the Rams are going to win this game. I'm going to say 34-37-10. Somewhere in that range. I don't think the 49ers are any better than the Cardinals on offense. And I think the Rams did an outstanding job in the Cardinals' home stadium. And this game's significant, not just because you get home field advantage for the first round, not throughout the playoffs, but for the first round. But you also get to sweep your division opponents. And I think that says a lot because that gives you a lot of confidence when you play within your division. The Rams always have played well in the division. So that's kind of the way I see this thing breaking down. I think the Rams are going to handle their business and win at 34. I'll say 34-10, but I really think it's going to be more like 37-10, 44-13, something to that effect. They only get 44 if they get a defensive touchdown, though. They're going to need the defense to get a pick six or a scoop score or a block punt, something to that effect. Otherwise, they're going to be sticking in the 30s. Your takey.
Yeah, I think what the Rams need to do is just go back to the basics in this game and get them back to what has been known as Ram football this year. And that is making plays on the ground, letting Goff throw it, getting Goff's confidence back. And I know that they play Arizona. Arizona and San Francisco are not the type of teams to make really much of a game out of things, especially this part of the season. Say what you will about San Francisco and Chicago last week, but San Francisco was at home. But I think it was a perfect game for Goff to get on the same page with all his wide receivers, get C.J. Anderson involved, get this win and enjoy a week off because Gurley's going to want it. I see this game being more of like a 30-17, 30-20 game. The Niners don't score 20 if you guard George Kittle. Just guard him, cover him, and you're going to be fine. Seriously, George Kittle is like the kryptonite to everybody this year. But and he's set his sights on a tight end receiving mark for this season, and just cover him and you'll be fine. Yeah. Take away the best weapon. Marquise Goodwin is not playing. Breeda's not going to play either. I think it's smart holding out. I mean, he can barely walk. So get Seth Wilson Jr. Bottled up, and that makes Mullins have to go to his second or third options, which is a green light for the Rams defense. So 30-17, 30-20, somewhere around there. I do think San Francisco gets a couple of quick scores somewhere. In the second half. To make everybody think, are the Rams going to, falter or something like that? But, it's quickly the Rams come back downfield and quickly get another touchdown. So, it's a game I can't see San Francisco winning on the road. So definitely the Rams, and congratulations on their number 2 seed.
Thank you. Hopefully we're right. Cleveland at Baltimore. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm doing this.
Please don't pick Cleveland.
Oh no, that's exactly what I'm doing. I just can't believe I'm putting Pittsburgh in the playoffs. Look, Baker Mayfield and the Browns defense all year long have been underappreciated, I think, by the average fan. Overappreciated by the overly enthusiastic announce crews and sports broadcasters and sports analysts. But I think the Browns are somewhere in between. And while I do think this is going to be a low-scoring game because I think the Ravens' defense is legit, I don't trust Jackson to win a game. I mean, you're asking me to pick Jackson versus Mayfield. Who's going to end up winning the game? I'm going to look at who has the better weapons. You got Nick Chubb. You got Jarvis Landry. Adekua is coming alive at tight end. You've got a Browns offensive line that's really been blocking well for the run, and they're going to have to against Baltimore. And on the other side for the Ravens, you've got a guy that likes to draw. First of all, I have to ask this: is Michael Crabtree even still playing?
Yeah, he is. He is moonlighting as a football player these days.
He's just a ghost, and when he does get the ball, he drops it. And I think that's going to hurt Baltimore. And I think at the end of the day, I look at this game. Look, the Browns beat them 12-9 earlier this year in Cleveland. I think the Browns win in Baltimore. I'm not going to say it's much different. I'm going to say 16-13 Browns. I think that Nick Chubb is going to have a big day. Total yards, running and receiving. I think Baker Mayfield is going to make one play that's just going to make you go, did I just see that? And I think Jackson's going to be throwing the ball to the wrong color jersey a couple of times. This is a playoff game for Jackson, and it's really a benefit for for Baltimore to kind of get this kid, win or lose, exposed to a playoff environment. Because if the Ravens don't win this game and the Steelers do, somebody's going to win Indianapolis, Indy. The Ravens are out of the playoffs. You either need to pray that Cincinnati pulls an upset, which they're not going to do in Pittsburgh with Driscoll, or you need to win this game. And I just don't see, I think it's great for the Ravens to have that kind of pressure on this kid moving forward and getting him into year 2 of his development, which I think he's a little bit further behind than most quarterbacks coming out of the draft have been, at least of the ones that we talk about. But I've seen year 2 turnarounds do complete 180s for guys' careers for the benefit and for the negative. So we'll see what Baltimore does. I think that's a big reason why they kept John Harbaugh, is because they realized, hey, another year under John Harbaugh's tutelage, and this kid might actually turn into something special. You bring in somebody like a Marty Morningwig, and his career's over. So I think the Browns go in and beat the Ravens 16-13, and all this talk about Baltimore being a threat to win the Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback, as ridiculous as that sounds to anyone who watches football and knows how the postseason actually works, we don't have to listen to it anymore. And it's going to be Baker Mania all summer long, because I think the Ravens are getting to 8 wins, or the Browns are getting to 8 wins.
It's going to be Baker Mania all summer long, no matter how this game goes, because Cleveland is going to go into the offseason with guns a-blazing. With possibly a new coach if they don't re-sign, if they don't hire Greg Williams, and there's going to be a bunch of players who want to go play in Cleveland because A, they want to beat the Steelers, and B, they want to beat the Ravens. Mm-hmm. However, this is where Cleveland's season ends, in Baltimore.
It ends anyway.
We already knew it was going to end in Baltimore anyway.
Yeah.
So, catch-22. But it's where Baltimore season continues. And, the last time they played each other was week 5, when Joe Flacco looked like a Pop Warner quarterback on an NFL field. I'm sorry, but it's true. Flacco hasn't been a good quarterback since the year of the Super Bowl win and the year after the Super Bowl win. And this is why they made the change for games like this against Cleveland. Going up against both defenses, give me the Ravens defense. They're seasoned. Yes, they're older. but they know how to win. They know how to take over a football game. Cleveland isn't there yet. Will both quarterbacks make mistakes? Absolutely. Lamar Jackson has at least one fumble, not necessarily lost, but at least one fumble in 7 or 8 straight games. That continues, but it doesn't hurt the Ravens. The Ravens' defense can play field position games, and if they pin Cleveland back, they can make Cleveland and force Cleveland into mistakes. This seems going to be about a 20-10, 20-9 Ravens victory, and the Ravens go to the playoffs. Baker Mayfield on the road, I've seen a little bit different than when he plays at home because Mayfield is a little bit more prone to mistakes. He's a rookie. I understand it. Everybody makes mistakes. But I think he's got at least 2 or 3 in him to Jackson's 1, maybe 2. Do the Browns have the better run game? Yes. Do the Ravens know how to utilize their backs to make the run game shift to them? Yes. Who's got the better receivers? Definitely Cleveland. Who's got the better tight end? Name 2 tight ends on the Ravens. Exactly. I can, and if you play fantasy, I'm sure you can too. But the Ravens tight ends aren't well known unless you're MM forever and you have dreams and nightmares of a 64-yard touchdown catch and run by Max Andrews. But I digress. Sorry for the shot, but it's true. But I think you're going to see a lot of crowd and pound. And if this game is closer and comes down to field goal kicking, who do you trust more, Justin Tucker or Greg Joseph? I rest my case.
Well, I will tell you, if you want me to believe that Jackson is better than Joe Flacco, you need to take the weed that you purchased from Jamaica and you need to send it back FedEx Air and make sure somebody sticks it up their derriere because I'm sorry, but I'm not buying that ganja that you're trying to force down people's throat. I don't give a crap if it's next year. He is not better than Joe Flacco. And you're putting a rookie in a playoff scenario and taking a guy that won a Super Bowl and is a seasoned postseason veteran.
Joe Flacco in this game to start, okay? If you put Joe Flacco in this
you
game,
win the game.
Baltimore wouldn't win. Baltimore wouldn't win.
Baltimore would win.
Baltimore would not win.
Okay. All right. Well, we definitely are on complete polar opposites here because I do think this is a great move for Baltimore in continuing with Jackson's growth moving forward. It does not hurt. If you don't make it, who cares, John Harbaugh? You already got your contract and you've got your franchise quarterback again, right? And you can cut ties with Flacco and move forward with this kid having a lot of experience. But I've seen this dog and pony show before, and I'm yet to see it get to a Super Bowl. And I've seen this dog and pony show before, and I'm yet to see a rookie quarterback get to a Super Bowl or win 2 playoff games.
I'm not saying Jackson is going to the Super Bowl.
Well,
I'm saying he's beating Cleveland, and they're going to win, and they're going to go to the playoffs.
And then you think they're going to be a threat in the postseason because of their defense.
Well, dude, if you have a defense in the postseason, yes.
So you think Baltimore goes into New England and beats the Patriots with Jackson at quarterback?
You know what, Anthony? I'm going to give you the utmost, biggest compliment ever. You could go play quarterback for the Ravens with that run game and run, and you could beat the Patriots.
Well, I can't run because they would catch my fat rear end in no time flat. But look, I'm not saying he's not a great player, or has potential to be a great player.
But actually, to answer your question, can the Ravens go into Foxborough and beat the Patriots? Yes, they can. But they won't be playing the Patriots in Foxborough because they're going to be going to They might be going to Kansas City.
Well, if they win, aren't they division champs? So they'll actually get who would they get at home for the first round?
I don't even know. They would get the Chargers.
Yeah, the Chargers. So we'll see. Look, I just think this is where the Ravens season ends, and I think I envy Harbaugh right now and I think a lot of coaches do too because it's a win-win. You know, you can go all out and try to make playoffs with this rookie quarterback and continue this incredible season, right? But at the very least, you are getting there's nothing more valuable, ask Jared Goff, than a postseason taste in your mouth. And the Ravens got it a week early. You know, this isn't cliche, guys. This is literally a playoff game because who Pittsburgh is playing at home this week. It is you have to win this game or you don't go to the show because the Colts and Titans aren't going to tie. Someone's going to win that game. Now, stranger things have happened, but looking at the whole picture. So I'm fascinated to see how this game goes. I'll probably be watching this one in the morning. Miami.
Well, the Ravens game is in the afternoon.
Is it in the afternoon too?
Yeah.
What the hell game are they putting on in the morning that's worth watching?
The morning games: Miami, Buffalo, Detroit, Green Bay, New York, New England, Carolina, New Orleans, Dallas, the Giants, Atlanta, Tampa, and Jacksonville, Houston. So enjoy spending time with your family until 2:25.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm not even turning on football in the morning. Literally, I'm not. I'm gonna wait until 2, and then I'll catch the last. I won't even catch the last 5 minutes. I'll just set my alarm for when the Rams start time is. And thank you, NFL, by the way, for that. Because now I'm only going to be watching one game, maybe 2, because I'm not one of those douche canoes that has like 7 TVs and watches all the games at once. You can't do that anyway. So I'm watching Rams and Bears because that's the only thing of significance to me. So really good decision making, putting all of the playoff games in the afternoon where not everyone can watch them. Unbelievable.
Well, they do that, okay?
That's stupid.
They do that because, well, hold on. They do that because they're not going to put Pittsburgh and Baltimore playing at 2 different times when if Pittsburgh plays at noon and they lose, Baltimore's got nothing to play for.
Okay, but you can put the game on that you are pretty sure is going to go one way. You could put the Steelers in at noon because you know the Bengals haven't been able to beat the Steelers at full strength in a playoff game. They're going to beat them with Driscoll and a deflated defense in a game of that magnitude. Now Baltimore has to play to win. It's stupid. You're not convincing me of anything otherwise. It is dumb. You've literally made the morning games unwatchable unless you're a fan of one of those teams. Sorry. I'm not watching a single game in the morning. Let's get to the first morning game.
Come on.
I won't.
Be glued to that New England game.
Yeah, not even close. First game of the who gives a flying fart of the afternoon. Miami at Buffalo. I'm actually picking Buffalo here. I'm picking Buffalo here. I think the Bills are a better team right now than the Dolphins as far as effort. I think that Miami losing at home to Jacksonville, I think exposed a lot about how bad Miami's situation really is. And I think the Bills are going to win this game. I think it's going to be close, but I'm going to go 17-13 Buffalo. I think that Allen finds the end zone. I don't know if it's going to be via the ground or the air. I think Tannehill's going to throw a few picks, and I think that the Adam Gase Tannehill era comes to an end in Miami, and he will be one of the first casualties on Monday.
I was just about to ask you if Gase survives, and
no.
And I've got some other names for you to throw out too when we get to them. But Buffalo wins this game 17-14. I think you actually see Brock Osweiler in the second half for the Dolphins, and I also think that signals the end of Tannehill's tenure in Miami. Listen, I've said it before. The Dolphins can save 18-19 million by designating Tannehill as a post June 1st cap cut, and I think that's what they do. It just sets up so well for them to get a new quarterback via trade, and we all know who I kept saying for that, Derek Carr. But Buffalo's got pride on the line. They need Josh Allen to be that quarterback that they had visions of, and they're gonna let him do his thing in Week 17 against Miami. But man, going forward, they gotta get him someone to hand the ball off because he cannot keep running the way he runs. But
I agree.
They do end the season with a victory. But a lot of things Buffalo needs for next season to be anywhere near competitive as far as dare I say the division.
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends if Brady decides to retire and the AFC East decides to actually play football. Philadelphia at Washington. This game, That's not a
noon game.
Oh, it's not a noon game.
That's not a noon game either. Because Philadelphia and Minnesota are playing at the exact same time.
No, they're not. The Bears are playing the Vikings.
Yeah, they are.
Then the
Bears are playing the Vikings at 3:25, and the Eagles are at the Redskins at 3:25. Use the computer. Stop using a magazine.
Well, I thought you just said it. I just thought you said it wasn't a noon game. That's why I got confused.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm sorry. That is not a noon game. I thought we were doing the noon games next.
Well, I'm going in order of the magazine. So, frig it.
All right. Well, the magazine's outdated. So, Detroit at Green Bay.
No, I'm doing this one. Shut up. Philly at Washington. Let's talk about this game. So, there's not much to talk about, right? Philly's going to win this thing handily. I'm going to say 27-3, 27-10. Actually, that's not true. I've had this score in my head for about a week now. I think the Eagles are going to win this game 27-9. I think they may get a missed extra point and a touchdown. They may get 3 field goals. But look, the Redskins aren't going to move the ball much against that Philadelphia defense because they don't have anybody that's consistent enough in the receiving game. Nick Foles is going to continue to go deep because the Redskins have already checked out for the season. And you have another head on the chopping block come Black Monday in John Gruden. Or Jay Gruden. So, look.
Hey, let me ask you this. Does Bruce Allen go with Jay Gruden?
Bruce Allen?
Yeah, he is their GM.
Bruce Allen? GM for who?
For the Redskins.
No, he cuts him. He lets him go. There's no reason to retain Jay Gruden.
Snyder is the one who does the cutting. Snyder's the one who does the firing. Does Snyder let his GM go?
Oh, does he let his GM go? Maybe. I mean, personally, if I'm the Redskins, I blow the whole thing up. I trade Josh Norman.
Yeah, Josh Norman.
Yeah, I trade Josh Norman. I trade my entire offensive line. I get rid of them because they can't stay on the goddamn field anyway. I see if there's any interest in Crowder. I tell AP it's been nice, but have a great career somewhere else. You just blow this whole thing up. You have to, because I know what you're thinking. Well, guys, they almost made the playoffs. They could be 8-8 if they win. Well, frogs also wouldn't bump their rear ends if they hop, when they hop, but they do. So the reality is they're not going to win this game, and even if they do, you still got to blow this thing up because the Redskins are nowhere near the rest of the division. They win with smoke and mirrors, and they get really good early in the year, then everyone decides to get injured, and then they have no one left by the end of the season, and they're playing with third-string quarterbacks and guys off the street on the O-line. I would fire the strength and conditioning coach.
Fourth-string quarterback. Let's get it right.
Oh, my B. So, look, the Redskins are a complete dumpster fire.
Sanchez was their backup to the backup.
I know. Here's a question I have for you. There's a lot of speculation that if the Eagles do win this game, I'm operating under the assumption they're not getting into the playoffs. But you've got a quarterback in Nick Foles who went 4-1 this year. Last year went, 4-1? 5-1?
No, did they even lose last year with him?
Yeah, they lost to the Cowboys 6-0.
Oh, that's right. Was that week 17 as well?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't put much stock in when you rest guys.
You still got to count it.
It's still a record. It still counts. I get it. Yes, I understand that.
So he's 9-2.
It was 6-0. I want to see how much Foles played actually first before.
But it doesn't matter. He's 9-2 as a starter.
Hold on. Let me see. Oh yeah, he did play. He might have played the first quarter. He was 4 of 11, 39 yards of interception, and then Nate Sudfeld took over. So. Yeah, actually, no, that's not on Foles because he may have started, but there was no score when the game ended. Or, I'm sorry, there was no score when Foles came out, so you can't put that loss on Foles.
Well, it's like a starting.
That's actually it.
It's like
he might have been the starting quarterback, but when he finished the game, there was no score. There was no score at halftime. There was no score after the third quarter. Nate Sudfeld was already in. So Nate Sudfeld is on that has that win-loss. Because you can't give somebody a loss when you come out. It's like a pitcher with a no decision.
Fine, he's 9-1. He's 9-1 as a starter. All this talk about Carson Wentz and who do you go with, and I'm asking you this question, Eric. You know how much I like Carson Wentz. What do you do if
I've been beating the drum for a couple of weeks, and you already know that because I brought it up on the show multiple times. Nick Foles is a free agent after the season is over.
Is he?
Let me first get. Yeah, he's a free agent after.
Or do the Eagles sign him?
What?
Or do the Eagles sign him? That's my question. Do the Eagles sign him and tell Carson Wentz, sorry, bro, too many injuries?
Listen, you would have to be one of the ballsiest owners in the history of sports to not only give up what you gave up for Wentz, but I don't think there's anybody out there who's going to be willing to back up the truck to give you what you need for Wentz.
I think there's some dumb owner out there. I think you at least have to entertain it.
Well, that dumb owner might reside in the NFC East, and you're not going to trade Carson Wentz to an NFC East rival. Okay? What I think the Eagles do, I think they franchise Foles and try to trade him. If they have no takers, they have a $16 million backup for next year.
How do you trade him? I mean, that's my point. I'm looking at this going, it's not like Nick is a flash in the pan anymore. He obviously, look, the city loves him. I don't think you're going to get a lot of pissed off fans if they let Wentz go. I really don't. And maybe you don't get maybe you don't get a pickup truck worth of stuff for him, but I guarantee you can at least get a second round pick and a player, or a first round pick and a couple late round picks. I think there's somebody out there. I mean, Jiminy Christmas. Let's just pull. I could pull 3 teams off the top of my head right now that might make that move. Tampa Bay.
Yeah, the Redskins could do it. The Giants could do it.
No,
Jaguars could do it. Tampa Bay could do it. Miami could do it. Jacksonville could do it.
Oakland. Oakland has the capital.
They do, and I get what they're trying to do, and that's why I think they go young.
Wentz is young. Wentz is young. He's a third-year player.
2 years in a row and being injured, though. That's going to be the red flag.
I'm telling you, I have a gut feeling. Don't be surprised if Wentz ends up a Raider. And the Eagles decide to keep Foles.
The Eagles are going to ask for at least 2 first-round picks. I get that. But I don't think I think John Gruden is set on drafting a quarterback or bringing in a Tannehill or a Case Keenum for a year and letting the process play out. I don't think he wants to up his timeline that much. But I could be wrong. I don't know. Since they traded Cooper and Max, I have no idea what the Raiders are thinking.
I'm telling you. I would, if I were the Raiders, I would give up a 1, and I'd say, look, we're not going to give you a second one. We'll give you a 2 and, one of their better players on offense to help Foles in the process. Maybe even offer him a lineman like Penn, because I don't think his days are long for Oakland, and you get yourself a Pro Bowl caliber offensive lineman. And then I think you do still, go get, a free agent quarterback for a year and let Wentz learn the system and give him the rest that he needs and the time that he needs, and then play him maybe second, third week of the regular season. Make sure that he's all right and he's got a good grasp of the system. Get him some spot playing time in the preseason and the regular season, and then unleash him in the third week of the season, depending on what your schedule looks like, especially if you have a couple cupcakes early. There's a lot of options there for the Raiders. I think the Raiders have historically been an island of misfit toys, and they've done things like this before. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I don't know, man. I don't know at this point how you get rid of Foles and keep Wentz when you know what you have in Nick and you still don't know what you have in Carson.
Listen, I beat that drum for the last few weeks here, and until they actually make a decision, if it were up to me, if I were Jeffrey Lurie, I would trade Wentz.
Yeah, me too.
And sign Foles. Just knowing what he has done in the last end of the last 2 seasons. Listen, Nick Foles can throw for 750 yards against the Redskins, and he might very well. And he could throw for 8 touchdowns against the Redskins, and he might very well. But it ain't going to matter because if the Vikings win, they're out.
They're out, but I think that if I'm an Eagles fan, and I know a few of them, I'm happier to pig and poo right now because I know that we're the defending Super Bowl champs this year. We won't be next year, but the future looks really good because we put things together at the end of this year, and they know how to win big games, as they proved against the Rams and Houston.
They just need a healthy running game.
Right. All right, I want to go to the game. I want to go to the game that I was really looking forward to watching more than any other game in the morning besides the Browns and Ravens, and instead I have to not watch it at all. Because, again, I'm going to watch my Rams and I'm going to watch the Bears, and everyone else I'll just scoreboard watch. So good move, NFL. Indy at Tennessee. Look, I'm going to go first here, and I'm going to keep it simple. The Titans they don't have a running back the caliber of Ezekiel Elliott or Saquon Barkley. The Indianapolis Colts have shut both of those backs down. I get it. It's been at home. Okay? But this Colt team has traveled rather decently this year. Okay? Not as good as maybe people would like. And it's a win and you're in situation. And I think, personally, I'm going to say it. I think the Colts are going to win this game. I think it's going to be a tight-knit football game the whole way. I think it's going to be 19-14, 19-17 Colts. I think it's going to be a field goal fest because I think the defenses are going to rise up in key situations. And it's going to be one of those, we ain't leaving this field without points. The flip side of that is I think that the Titans, if it's 19-13, I think instead of kicking the field goal mid-fourth quarter, early fourth quarter, they're going to try and go for the touchdown and take the lead. They're going to fall short. The Colts are going to get the ball, and they're going to play the field position game and end up winning the game 19-13. I'm picking Indy.
Not many teams have Saquon Barkley or Ezekiel Elliott caliber running back.
Nope.
I know what Indy has done. I just want to know who's the starting quarterback for the Titans. I think that makes all the difference in the world, whether or not it's a blowout or whether it's a 1-point Indianapolis win. So we already know which way I'm going. Andrew Luck is 10-0 in his career when he started against the Titans. In Tennessee, in Indy, it doesn't matter. 23-22 Colts.
Okay. Good deal. I think it's going to be a fun game, but again, I won't be watching it.
And how do you not put this game on Sunday night? I mean, it's perfect. Winning, you're in. There's a lot of pressure on both teams. T.Y. Hilton is playing. So, the Colts are going to be pretty much at full strength. I just want to know if the Titans can keep Mariota upright and if he starts. Because if you start playing Gabbard, you're basically waving the white flag.
What is the Sunday night game?
Indy, Tennessee.
Oh, okay. Oh, I will be watching this game then. Okay. I didn't realize it was Sunday night. All right, Detroit, Green Bay, take it away.
Green Bay's at home. Green Bay wins 31-10.
Yeah, I think Green Bay wins.
I mean, listen, what Green Bay is doing, they have their players, some of their players lobbying for Joe Philbin to come back. And they've already interviewed Jim Caldwell. They have interviewed Chuck Pagano. And there's one other head coach on the radar that they are looking at from the college ranks that ever since, I want to say about halfway through their season, his name has started to come up. I don't think he makes the move. I don't think he's that top caliber of a coach, but he plays in my backyard. And no, I'm not talking about my son. I am talking about Northwestern's Pat Fitzgerald.
Really, over Kelly?
I don't know if he can do it.
Well,
I don't know.
I will tell you right now, I hope the Packers go ahead and go with Caldwell. Look.
Oh, I hope they interview Jeff Fisher. I hope they interview Josh McDaniel. I hope they keep Joe Philbin. It don't matter. A lot of players are lobbying for Joe Philbin to come back. I don't see him as the answer in Green Bay. I think you're going to see a Green Bay team inspired to play in front of their home fans, and Detroit's got nothing to play for.
They got a sweep. They could play for a sweep of Green Bay, and I think that's going to motivate them. Look, I like your score for Green Bay 31, but I think the Lions are going to put up 27 points. I think they're going to be amped up with the idea that they could possibly sweep Green Bay for the first time in God knows how long. But I think they fall short.
Both teams are going to look a lot different next year.
Oh, yeah. But ultimately, I agree. Packers win 31-27. All right. Jacksonville at Houston. I don't care about this game. I know that there's playoff implications, but does anybody really think Houston's going to lose at home to Jacksonville? I got the Texans winning this one 34-0. 34-0.
Oh, sorry.
34-0, Houston.
Wow. If Jacksonville wins, there's a lot of things wrong. In Houston.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, Blake Bortles is actually starting for the Jaguars, so expect 2 Texans defensive touchdowns at least. Yeah, I like Watson to Hopkins. They lost Demaryius Thomas last week to a torn Achilles, so they're going to be hurting on offense. No Kiki Cutie for the Texans as well. Maybe no Lamar Miller either. I believe he's been ruled out. Let me look that up really quick. The Texans need this game to keep pressure on
New England
to get that number 2 seed. And do I think they get the number 2 seed? No, they had a crash with it last week and they lost.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a game that they should have won. I retract my last statement against Lamar Miller. Lamar Miller is good to go against the Jaguars. I think that gives the Texans an extra oomph, I should say. But 27-7 Texans there.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
I don't know what else to say. Like, as much as I like this Texas team, do I think their defense can carry them to deep in the playoffs? No. Do I think that Lamar Miller and DeAndre Hopkins are going to get shut down in the playoffs when it gets time? Most likely.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
I mean, if Baltimore wins and takes the North, and the Colts win and take the wild card, Colts to Texans the next weekend.
That's going to be a fun game. All right.
It's going to be a great game.
All right. Oakland at Kansas City. Chiefs win this game 35-17. I mean, maybe 35-10. I'm being generous and giving the Raiders a garbage touchdown at the end. I'm sure the Chiefs are probably going to rest some people now that they have the first round bye wrapped up. Is that the case?
They do have a first round bye wrapped up. They just don't have the number 1 seed.
Well, then they're going to blow them out. Yeah. Then 35.
Yeah,
Well, that's right, because if they lose and the Chargers win.
Right. And if they lose and the Patriots win, the Patriots get the 1 seed.
Right. They're going to win 35-10. This game is going to be over. They may put up 21 points in the second quarter alone. This game is going to be absolutely over before it starts. I have nothing left to add to this game. You?
Patrick Mahomes is 184 passing yards away from 5,000. He's 2 touchdowns away from 50 on the season. If Andy Reid really wanted to, especially against division rival, he could stay. He could keep Patrick Mahomes out there to throw 7 touchdown passes, but I don't think he does. He does get over his 5,000 yards. He does get 50 or more touchdown passes, and then he pulls them if they have a comfortable lead. 38-10.
Yeah, no, it ain't much. Jets at New England. Again, they get to play Little Sisters of the Poor Part 2. No one on the Jets are going to play well enough to even make this game close. I think the Patriots win this game 45-3.
I think this game is going to go a little bit different. I love what the Jets did against Green Bay, and I know the Patriots' defense is not as good. But I know what they did against Buffalo, and that you can't turn a blind eye to that. But Buffalo doesn't have the type of offense that the Jets do. I think this game stays close. I think they give the Patriots a scare. Ultimately, though, I think the Patriots end up winning this game 27-21, New England. I like the Elijah McGuire, the way he runs. I know Sam Darnold on the road, he plays a lot different, and Foxborough can not be a fun place to play. I know the Patriots home record too, but I also like Robbie Anderson, the way he plays. One of the reasons why they lose, A, turnovers, B, a couple of their wide receivers are actually out of this game, and Quincy Nunn and Jermaine Kearse. They've already been ruled out. And so, that limits where Darnold can go with the ball. But look for a big lead from tight end Chris Herndon, because you can throw on a Patriots defense, and that's what Darnold's going to do.
Carolina at New Orleans. The Saints are going to be resting people. They've got everything wrapped up. I don't think Drew Brees plays more than a quarter. I don't think Alvin Kamara plays more than a half. I think because of that, I think it's going to be a little bit closer than the experts think. But ultimately, I'm going to say 24-13 Saints. I still think they have too much on offense and defense. And Carolina in New Orleans, the Saints aren't going to want to lose the 8-0 record at home to a winless a football team that doesn't even have a winning record. So I think they're going to protect the Dome. I think the Dome Patrol is going to be on full alert. And I got the Saints winning 24-13.
Any idea who the Panthers are trotting out there for quarterback?
Let me guess. Todd Collins.
I was thinking more like Steve Burley.
I don't know.
They are starting their third string quarterback, and I don't even know who that is. That's how bad it is. However, I'm actually looking that up. You're right in that Drew Brees is not going to play more than a quarter. He's actually going to be in street clothes because Teddy Bridgewater is going to start. Teddy Bridgewater will be playing for another team sometime next year, and that could be the Giants, that could be the Jaguars, that could be the Panthers. You never know.
Taylor Heinicke or Garrett Gilbert? Taylor Heinicke or is it Taylor Heinicke or Garrett Gilbert?
Taylor Heinicke actually is on IR. Kyle Allen is going to be backed up by Garrett Gilbert.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
So, Saints defense, have fun. 20-7 Saints. Okay. I don't think you're going to see much scoring in this game.
I don't either. Dallas at the Giants. I think the Giants actually. I think this is going to be a close game for most of the way. I got the Cowboys winning 27-24. Saquon Barkley has a big day. Ezekiel Elliott has a big day. As a running back fan, this might be the game to watch. It's just I can't stomach watching Dallas Cowboys play. And the love affair that happens with every announced crew in the Dallas Cowboys. If I watch it, it'll be on mute. But I think Dallas wins this game. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a hard-fought football game. But ultimately, I think too many mistakes by Eli Manning. I think too many pressures by the Cowboys defense. And I think, too much Ezekiel Elliott. I'm going to go Cowboys here, 27-24.
Win by the Giants vaults them out of the top 10 in the draft for next season. And I know that the Giants are going to be eyeing something that they should have probably picked last year, and that's a quarterback. But it's not going to be a very deep quarterback class. So I don't think the Giants really care then where they pick in round one in 2019. But I will tell you this. Eli Manning is going to have a day along with Sterling Shepard and Saquon Barkley, and don't sleep on Evan Ingram. He's going to follow up last week's game against Indy with another good game in the receiving yards category. Giants win this game 19-14.
Wow, you're going upset there, huh?
Dallas can say all they want about playing everybody and whatnot, but, once you get into the flow of the game, Jason Garrett's going to take a step back and say, you know what, I want my guys healthy for the first game in Dallas against the Seahawks. And I think you see more Sean Lee, whether or not he gets injured, that's up to him, but I think you see more Sean Lee and Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch sitting majority of the second half in this game. And then I think you see Elliott come out for Rod Smith, and Dak sits for his backup as well after at least a half or three quarters.
All right. Well, let's go with Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. Not much of a game. The Bengals have no chance to win this game. I think the Steelers pull this one out 38-10, 38-13. Cincinnati doesn't have much of anything except a running game. No quarterback. Hugh Jackson's on the sidelines. And Marvin Lewis, I think, is already checked out before even his quarterback, Andy Dalton, got injured. I think Marvin Lewis is gone in Baltimore, in Cincinnati. And that's ball game. Pittsburgh ends up, in my scenario, winning the division and getting into the playoffs.
Pittsburgh has won the last 7 and 10 of the last 11 in this series. The Bengals are hurting. They just put 3 more guys on IR and signed 3 more guys off the practice squad. I can't go against your 38-10 score. I like that score too.
Okay, there we go.
Question for you though. Obviously, you talked about Marvin Lewis. Thoughts on if Pittsburgh doesn't make the playoffs? Does Tomlin get the boot?
If I'm the owner, no. You don't fire a guy after missing the playoffs once in 5 years. I mean, if you do that, good luck getting any quality coach to come to your football team because bad years happen. And, think about Joe Gibbs, right? Joe Gibbs missed the playoffs in 85 with a 10-6 record. He went 7-9 in 88. He went 10-6 in 89. And then made the playoffs in 90. He didn't get fired. Guy won 2 Super Bowls prior to that. He was in 4 Super Bowls total. I don't know why these owners are so quick. Didn't make playoffs, you're gone. I heard that with Marvin Lewis. Can't win a playoff game, you're gone. You got there. So I would be shocked if they turn around and fire Tomlin at the end of the year.
Yeah, you're right in that it's the first time in 5 years because the last time they missed the playoffs was 2013.
Right. I think you give Tomlin has earned.
It's 2 times in 6 years.
Okay.
And 3 times in the last 7 years.
But Tomlin has the ability to miss the playoffs 2 more seasons in a row. He won a Super Bowl. He's been a perennial playoff coach. You see what he needs to fix the problem, and you fix it. Now, if he has a losing season next year and a losing season the year after that, yeah, you let him go. You got to tone this down with the firing of coaches. It's beyond stupid.
Let me ask you this, then. Does Tomlin make the decision like Howard did?
Maybe.
If Ben retires after this year or next year, it says I'm done.
I don't think so. He's too young. I would be shocked. He's barely in his 40s?
Yeah, I'm not sure how old he is.
He's not that old. So I would be surprised. But maybe. I mean, anything can happen. Atlanta at Tampa Bay. That's a morning game. Yeah, that's a morning game not even people in Tampa are watching. Bucks win 24-17. That's my score. They're home.
46.
What's that?
Tomlin's 46.
Yeah, he's not. Okay. Well, I thought he was like 44, 42. Maybe. I mean, I still don't think he would. But let's talk about the game no one wants us to talk about because no one cares. Buccaneers, I think, are going to have an ability to throw the ball in that Falcons secondary. And I think the Falcons are going to have the ability to score maybe 24-17. Let's go 34-27. I think that's more apropos to this type of offensive teams going at it. I'm going to go Tampa at home, 34-27.
38-21 Falcons. They can throw all day on Tampa and score at will. Tampa puts up a fight in the first half, but it's the end of the Dirk Cotter era, as it should be.
Well, there's my upset pick, I guess. Chargers at Denver. I worry about this game, bro. The Chargers couldn't beat Denver at home. Now they got to go into, if not snowy, certainly freezing cold Mile High. This will be a good test for them. I'm picking the Chargers, but I'm not confident about this game. I'm going to go San Diego 17-13, but I won't be surprised if they lose this game 20-17 to Denver.
Well, it is a different Denver team that they faced, and Denver was actually fighting for a playoff spot last time they faced, and they've gone downhill ever since. It's going to be 52 and sunny in Denver tomorrow, so it's going to almost feel like a cool fall day for the Chargers and their players. Chargers win this game 27-13. No Phillip Lindsay in this game. He got injured against the Raiders. Denver looks disinterested, especially after falling to the Raiders. Vance Joseph might as well find his own way back to his home because he ain't getting a ride from anybody.
Yeah. Arizona at Seattle. Really, Seahawks 34, Cardinals 6. I mean, is this a morning game? It should be.
No, that's not a morning game. They're not going to put a West Coast game on at freaking
why?
At 10 o'clock in the morning.
Why?
We're all up. Because they never have.
They should. What did you say, hon? I said we're all up. We're all up? Why not?
Well, some people are.
Who the hell is an adult, not a teenager, that sleeps until 10 o'clock in the morning?
You know, what they should have done was put this game in London. Then you could watch it at 8 o'clock in the morning.
My wife just said, me. All right, well, whatever. It doesn't matter when this game's played. This game could be played in frickin' Antarctica, and it would be 34-6. It's over. The Cardinals are garbage.
35-10.
Yeah, it's going to be – the Seahawks are going to run the ball all day. And if C.J. Anderson had 167 yards rushing, then the Seahawks may be the first professional football team to rush for 500 yards in a game. It's not even going to be close. All right. I want to talk about something before we wrap this show up. I've been fighting for this for a long, long time, and I want your input on this. I believe that the NFL should change its playoff format. I don't think they should add more teams, okay? I do think what they should do is they should go to a different seeding system. Best record is 1, second best record is 2, third best record is 3, fourth best record is 4, and down the line. You win the division, you're automatically in, but that should not mean you're automatically hosting a playoff game. I've said for a long time that, yes, you're going to have a 7-9 team win a division and still make the playoffs in that format, but they'd be a 6 seed. They wouldn't get to host a playoff game like Seattle did a few years ago. And yes, there could be a team that's 11-5 that missed the playoffs to a 7-9 team, and that sucks. But I like what the NBA and the NHL does. They don't base it off of this, you win your division, you're guaranteed one of the first 4 slots. Go to 1 through 6 and play the games. What do you think of that scenario?
That's the whole incentive of winning the division is getting to play a home playoff game.
No, the incentive, Eric, I'm stopping you right there. The incentive of winning your division is you made the playoffs, not host a playoff game. That's something that you have to earn through your record, not just winning the division. And the NBA and the NHL have done that for years. Yes, you won your division. Your reward, you get to go to the postseason. But it does not mean you get to host a playoff game. I want to correct that.
I just like to host a playoff game too much to get rid of it.
I think it's ridiculous that you're going to have a 13-3 team go on the road against an 8-7 football team or a 9-6-1 football team. That to me it seems completely preposterous. Completely ridiculous. And it's unnecessary. And it's the only sport that does it. It's to me, I was always on the losing argument of the playoff, right? I said there shouldn't be a playoff in college football, and everyone's like, why not? There should be a playoff! Raw! Right? And I had to deal with that, right? Now this is an argument no one can articulate effectively against me on, and I'm still losing the argument. You won the division. Congratulations. You're in the playoffs. But you won the division at 7-9, so now you get to host the 14-2 New Orleans Saints because the 15-1 Carolina Panthers happened. Really? That's fair to you. That makes total sense. That's totally logical. You should have won your division. Well, you know what? In college football, you should have done a better job of promoting your program so you got the recognition so you could get into a number one spot. But you didn't. You suck, so blow.
Even the college football playoff is flawed.
Well, I don't disagree with that. UCF should have been in the top 4. I don't disagree with that. But the whole argument that I made was these aren't professional athletes. You win your conference, you're guaranteed a bowl game. It's at a neutral site. And everyone's like, well, yeah, but then you got these teams like, why didn't Florida State get the number 1 or why didn't Notre Dame get the number 1 over Florida State? Because they lost to Boston College. Well, imagine if they had a playoff game. Yeah, imagine if they did. That's another game they have to play. And their schedule would have looked a lot different. As we've seen, since the inception of the postseason, we have seen every single college team operate under the most ridiculous cupcake non-conference schedules you've ever seen. Little Sisters of the Poor. Frickin' the Blind Institute of the Dumb and Blind. You've got the Quadriplegic Military School of Technical Support. You've got all of these, retarded colleges on your schedule. You don't have Oklahoma versus Ohio State very often. You don't have Michigan State going to USC in the regular season. You don't have Michigan versus Florida State. No, you get Ohio State versus Youngstown State. I told people, no one listened to me. I lost that argument. Now we're in the playoffs, and I'm looking at the NFL, and I'm going, why are we doing something so archaic and stupid that no one else does this? No other sport does it this way. None. Not a single one. Yet here we are. Why? It doesn't make sense.
Do the Chargers deserve a home playoff game?
Damn right they do with that record. They've gone on the road and won. They've won at home. They've beaten some of the best teams in football. Why don't they deserve it? You think the Steelers or Ravens deserve a home playoff game? You think the Patriots deserve a home playoff game? Beating the Colts or beating the Jets and the Bills and the Dolphins twice a year. Miami once this year. Really?
It's not their fault who's in their division.
Okay, well, it's not the Chargers' fault that they had a better schedule and won all their games. So why not reward them? I'm not saying New England doesn't make the playoffs. I'm not saying Baltimore doesn't make the playoffs, but they shouldn't be hosting.
Cue Jim Mora.
What?
Cue Jim Mora. Playoffs.
We're talking about playoffs, so yeah, playoffs.
Exactly.
Look, I'm just saying, to me, it's ridiculous. Here's the argument that I heard. With college football, does regular season matter? Yeah. Okay, well then, the regular season should matter, so we should have a playoff. Well, let me pose that question now. Does the regular season matter? Does it matter? Because right now, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's a race to 10. I just think it's stupid. I think it's outdated, and like I said, it's the only sport in professional sports that has this playoff format. No one else follows it because they know it's stupid. It doesn't make sense. You won the division. Good. I guess baseball does it. Right?
Yeah, hockey did it the right way.
Hockey did it.
Hockey did it the right way. They had 1 through 8.
Yeah.
Now it's you play the first 2 rounds against your division opponents, which I think is dumb.
Yeah, they had it right. I think basketball has it right. You could be an 8 seed and win your division. Doesn't matter. You're in there, but you're going on the road. And what's so dumb, Eric, is we do it for the 1 seed. The best record in football gets home field advantage. Why not do that for the rest of it? Okay, using your logic, you should get a host a playoff game. Okay, well, all right, so you're a 3 seed. Now you have to go on the road 2 weeks in a row. You won your division. Why is that fair? Why is that fair? You won your division. You should be able to host all the playoff games. You won your division.
Because there's 2 seats higher than you.
So record matters. See, you can't have your cake and eat it too. That's what I'm saying. Records should be the matter. It should be the matter of fact. You are seeded based on the wins and losses. Yes, you want to make the playoffs, you have to win your division. That's still the surefire way to get in. And you better get in. Right? That I agree with. That's the way it should be. Think of how different things would have looked. You would have had, under this format, I'm going to use 1986 as an example because the Redskins went 12-4. Okay? Your 1 and 2 seeds would have been the same. Bears and Giants in that order. Right? 1 and 2. Okay? Or, sorry, Giants and Bears, because the Bears lost 2 games in the NFC and the Giants had a better conference record. So Giants were 1, Bears were 2. You then would have had the Redskins at Chicago anyway, right? And the Rams and 49ers would have played in the divisional playoff, in the wild card round. And the winner would have gone to New York, which, let's be honest, it probably would have been the 49ers anyway, right? So it wouldn't have necessarily changed the outcome of the postseason. I mean, I don't know. I think personally, you look at the playoff format this year, it would be Chiefs, Chargers, Patriots in the wild card, right? Texans, and then the Steelers would have to go on the road to one of those 2 because they didn't even win 10 games. And I don't think it changes the way teams play the regular season because you still got to win your division. Because the odds of being a higher seeded team winning your division are still greatly in your favor. I don't know. You disagree or do you agree? Obviously, I think you disagree because you're fighting against it.
Might as well just make the whole season a playoff. That's it.
See, I love how that argument's made on your part, but you made the complete opposite argument when we talked about college football and having a playoff system. Like, I don't understand how you can't see the hypocrisy in that statement.
College football and NFL are different.
Okay, well, does basketball, is it every game a playoff game? No.
No, but in college it is to get to the tournament.
Okay. But it's still based on seeding. And with the NFL only having...
No, that's false. That's false because you could be one of the worst teams in college basketball.
Yes, college basketball. I'm sorry.
Then get hot at the right time.
I'm sorry, Eric.
Win your conference championship and get an automatic seed in the
I thought you were talking about college football. I'm sorry. Okay. But football, every game is already a playoff game because they only play 16 games. Your margin for error is significantly less than it is in basketball, in baseball, and in hockey. So it already is a playoff atmosphere every week. I don't know. You guys comment. You let me know if I'm the only one on this argument. I'm used to it. I was the only one arguing against the playoff system and keeping the bowl system in college football. And everyone said I was crazy and used these very same arguments I'm using on behalf of changing the NFL playoff seedings against me. And now that they don't agree with me on the playoff seeding, they're using those very same arguments I made that was completely ridiculous and irrelevant in defending the bowl system. Now it's being used against me. But you guys tell me, what do you think? Should they go to a seeding system? Forever, you kind of don't. It's not going to be fair because you're in the middle of this controversy. But you could still comment. But I want to know, I'm a Rams fan. I'm telling you, it should be that way. You know, my team wouldn't be affected necessarily one way or the other this year, but you know, there's been years in the past where we could have been affected by it. So you tell me what you guys think. Comment, hit the subscribe button, ding the bell, whatever. Eric, closing thoughts on your part.
Hit the subscribe button.
I just want to see some good games. Guys, stay healthy this week, and look forward to the playoffs.
Yeah, Eric's butt hurt right now. That's okay. Eric,
Shut your mouth.
go eat some yellow snow. All right. Actually, don't eat yellow snow. Fun.
I'll mail you some.
On our dorm, we had a sign that we found. Where did we find that sign?
We found it in San Francisco.
Of course, it was San Francisco. We had always made this joke for the ever and a day about not eating yellow snow. We go to we go to San Francisco, and we find this sign, and the only reason we said it is because of the O, right? Everything was elongated with the O. Don't eat yellow snow, right? It was our way of being stupid and funny and college dorks. And we find this sign that says, don't eat yellow snow. And we put it on the front end of our dorm so when people walk by and knock on the door, that's what they saw. It was great. My 5-year-old just asked you to subscribe. Come here, Steven. I'm going to have him ask you guys one more time.
Subscribe to your channel.
Say it.
Subscribe to your channel.
Subscribe to my channel. You heard him. 5-year-old has spoken. You guys have a good one. Have a great one. We'll talk to you later. Deuces.